Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, the first update session in my YouTube career, but you will see it in a few minutes. Before we start, I'd like to give you a short introduction about me. My name is Lagler-Gruener. I'm a lead cloud architect in one of the biggest consulting companies in Austria named ACP IT Solutions. I'm working with Microsoft Azure since the beginning. And you can see also it's also my focus topic. I have a lot of certification in different areas like developing, like network architecture, like security. I also have some experience in other hyperscaler like AWS and GCP, but my main focus is Microsoft Azure. Since 3 years right now, I'm also a Microsoft Azure MVP. I'm really happy about this. And you can find me on different social areas like LinkedIn, X, Twitter, Xing. You can also find me on my private blog called cloudblogger.at. I have my private YouTube channel, and you can also find everything about my sessions on my GitHub repositories. So keep in mind, today we have a lot of content. We have a small series section and hand over then to a live demo. And all scripts, all templates, and also for sure the presentation you can find on my GitHub repository. Okay, so let's start with the topic, with the session from today. Today we are talking about role-based access control options, what you have in Microsoft Sentinel. So in the past, I guess 1 year ago, I recorded a video about role-based access control options that you have. You can find the video on my comments below. So if you want, you can visit the old video and also see, okay, what options do you have 1 year ago. And today I want to give you an overview about the new functionalities, the new feature that you have, and also the new architecture design that you can bring into your Sentinel environment. Okay, so let's go to the agenda. It's really short. So we have a small theory section and then hand over to a live demo. First of all, we want to talk about the old options or the role-based access controls options that you have and that's also available in the past. This is not legacy, really important. This is not legacy. You can use it. There's one option which is at the moment a better choice with the new update, but there are also some role-based access control functionalities that's really common and also what I've seen, what I see in the user environment. So nothing is legacy here. We have a new option, and the new option brings more flexibility and also give you the ability to break the permission or to implement a least privilege permission access. So then we go to the new option that you have and how to start. And at the end, we just hand over to a live demo. Okay, so let's go to the current permission that you have. So the first one is Microsoft Sentinel specific roles. So when Microsoft implement a new service, implement a new product, they also bring Sentinel, or in this case Sentinel specific or role specific roles into the system. So for Microsoft Sentinel, you have a Sentinel responder, a Sentinel contributor, a Sentinel reader. So these are the most common default rules. And in all my custom environment, in all my architecture design, I also bring these custom rules into the architecture and also give the customers the ability to use this rule. So it's really common to use these rules. But in some situations, you maybe need custom rules. So for example, you have a customer who need read access, but they should see the available connectors. So then you can go here and clone the existing role, the Sentinel reader role, and remove exactly this permission. Then you have a custom role permission. This is based on the functionality. This is based on the permission on the service itself. But it doesn't change anything about the data permission. In this use case, we have in the past different options. So first of all, the default tables in log analytics. So for example, Office 365 or Azure Active Directory user sign-in logs table, you can assign permission to exactly this table because you have the ability to choose this table and remove the access to all data from the custom role. Or in the past, you have the ability to use resource-based access control. So in this case, you assign a resource ID, and the resources ID could be any service inside Microsoft Azure. So for example, when you want to implement a new table, and the new table was filled by the API itself, you can assign to the table, to the row, a specific resource ID. It's one option that you assign this resource ID to the table, to the row, and give the customer exactly permission to this resource ID. So I've described this in the video from the past, so please visit the video below. But at the moment, this is really this is not easy to handle all permission, to handle all separate tables, because you only have the ability to define a specific resource ID when you bring the resource data over an API to your system. Or in other case, if you're using Azure Arc, if you're using the log forwarding collector, the resource ID is always the Azure Arc resource ID. So when you assign a new, when you bring a new server into your system, when you assign this server over Azure Arc to your system and send every data, for example, syslog data, to the syslog collector, and this syslog collector transfer to log analytics, the resource ID is always the Azure Arc resource ID. Now we have a new option. We have a new option which brings you a much more flexible way to assign permission to specific tables. And the name here is table level role-based access permission. So we have in the past table level role-based access permission for the default tables, but you don't have the ability to assign a table level permission to a custom role. So we can only use resource ID or say, hey, I want to give the customer access to all custom tables. In this new functionality, you have the ability to assign to a specific table exactly the permission that you want. In this case, reader permission. This functionality is currently in preview. You can use it. You can use it in production, but always keep in mind it's in preview, so you don't have any SLA in some situations. There could be a change also included in the future, but it's really, really cool to use this new functionality. So the question is how to start, how to bring this new architecture option to your, the permission option to your architecture. So normally I start in the following way. First of all, I define a base level permission to get access to Sentinel. Only to Sentinel, the user don't see any data, the user don't have ability to access to any data, the user don't have the ability to change anything in Microsoft Sentinel. So this is really my baseline permission for custom roles. I have the default roles in place: Sentinel responder, Sentinel reader, Sentinel contributor. So these are my default roles for my analysts. And if I want to assign, or if I want to give the permission to other users which are who are not really focusing on the analysis part, so they want to see, for example, the firewall logs, for example, I implement a base level permission. And then I will consider how the data should be structured in Sentinel. So I'm choosing the right ingest way, and I'm also thinking about, okay, is the ingest way, for example, Azure Arc with DCR rules? Should I send or should I save the data into a default table? Should I split it into separate tables? And then I want to think about, okay, how can we structure this table? Then I create a data architecture itself. So I want to see visible what kind of data I have from different sources, what's the structure behind it, so the tables itself, and also bring the permission level to the data. And at the end, I want to add the permission not only for a specific user. I always use Microsoft Entra ID groups to assign permission to the base level and additionally to the separate table if it's required. So this is my starting point. Every time when I came to my customers and they say, hey, I want to have the default permission, and also for some customers specific permission to specific data, I always focusing on these 4 steps: create a baseline permission, consider how can we ingest the data into Microsoft Sentinel, create the data architecture, assign the permission over Microsoft Entra ID groups. So this is every time the same process. Okay, that's it. That's it from my theory section. We want to hand over now to a live demo, and I want to demonstrate you the following. I want to show you in a really short overview the old role-based access control scenarios. So it's not really old, so this is available since the beginning. Then I want to go to the define a base level role-based access control permission. I want to show you how can you assign a base level permission, and also keep in mind you have the source code on my GitHub repository. And then I want to ingest data using data collection endpoints and DCR rules. So it's really, really cool to have this functionality in place. So you are more flexible. You can define your data collection endpoints. You can choose, you can send the data over a separate script. You can also choose Azure Arc, the syslog collector forwarder. And at the end, you have your DCR rules to define, okay, I get the data stream and I want to split the data, for example, into separate tables. I want to project out or project away some data from the data stream because it's not required on my Sentinel tables, and you have really, really flexible options here. So I want to give you an overview about DCE, DCR, how can you use it, how can you split it down into separate tables. And at the end, I want to assign the permission and test the scenario. So I have my admin, I have my analyst, for example, who have the Sentinel contributor permission. So he have every permission to Microsoft Sentinel. He can see all data, he can see all data connectors. He can also change settings into Microsoft Sentinel. And I have side by side a separate user, a test user, and you can see how the baseline permission works and also the separate table permission works, and what the customer see and what he don't see. Okay, so that's it. So I will now hand over to my live demo to see or to demonstrate exactly this 4 scenarios. Okay, here we are. You can see I'm now logged into my Sentinel or to my Azure environment. You can see the Azure portal, and you can also see the required resource group. So now I'm connected with my admin, which who have full access to all resources. So we can see here all resource group, and also inside the resource group all required services or resources from Microsoft Sentinel. You can see here I have my log analytics workspace, which represent the baseline for Microsoft Sentinel. So first of all, I want to show you the old or the most common way to assign permission to a security analyst. So when we go here to the resource group and say go to the access control EM, you can see here the different roles. We have here a lot of built-in roles, but for Sentinel specific, we have separate roles here in place. So you can see the first one is a custom one, but here you can see Sentinel automation contributor permission. This is required for the Sentinel service itself. So we only need this permission for this service, but it's not a topic from today. We have here a Sentinel contributor permission, which represents the highest level of permission from the Sentinel perspective. We have here a Sentinel playbook operator permission. When you use Microsoft Sentinel and also the SOA add-on, so the playbooks to automate incident response, you can choose here exactly this permission to assign to the analyst, and the analyst can create new or can execute the playbooks manually if it's required. Then we have the Sentinel reader and the Sentinel responder permission. So these 5 permissions here are built-in rules, and you can use exactly this permission, assign a Microsoft Entra ID group to this permission, assign it to the resource group, and the customer have exactly the required permission for Microsoft Sentinel, break down to the level what you required, Sentinel reader, contributor, or responder. Okay, in some situations we have, for example, we need a custom role. So a customer is coming to you and say, hey, I want to give the customer XYZ the permission, the reader permission, but the customer should not see the TI, for example, the TI connector, the TI data. What you can do now is, if you have the required permission in Microsoft Azure, go to add, create a custom rule, and first of all, you should define a name, so CL test. And here you can define, okay, start from scratch, start from JSON, or create a clone an exist role. So I'm now cloning exist role and say, hey, I want to clone the reader role. So in this case, I go to next. Here you have the ability to see a table view about exactly the permission which is included into this role. And you can go here and say, hey, yes, everything is okay, but the threat intelligence query and indicator action, I want to remove exactly these 2 permission from this role. Click on next, define a scope. In this case, the scope is only the resource group. So if you want to assign this permission to a separate resource group, you should add, for example, this resource group to this custom permission, or go one step up to the subscription level, what you prefer. At the end, you can see a JSON view. The JSON view is per default a read-only view, so you cannot edit here the function, the permission. If you want to go to an edit state, click here on edit, and then now you have the ability to remove, to assign new permission, and click on save. It's really important. Click on save, and then you can go next, review your permission, and click on create. Then you have the custom role available inside your scope. So in this case, the resource group, and you can assign a Microsoft Entra ID to exactly this custom role. Okay, so that's the second option what you have. The third option, and this is really the legacy one, is you can assign permission to a resource ID. So in this case, I don't have any table right now in my environment, but if you want, you can create your custom scripts. Say, hey, I want to ingest my data, create a JSON format, and I'm adding my custom columns to my JSON, and also a custom column named _resource ID, and _resource ID could be any resource from Microsoft Azure. So in this case, I'm using here, for example, this workbook, and I'm adding exactly this resource ID to my JSON and ingest the data into Microsoft Sentinel. What you can do now is you can assign the permission for the user to this workbook and say, hey, the customer only have permission to exactly this resource ID. So this is really the old structure the old environment, I recommend use the new one, use the table level permission, which will be covered in a few seconds. Okay, when we go to the architecture design, to the permission least privilege architecture design. First of all, we need a baseline permission. So the customer should see Microsoft Sentinel, should have the ability to open Microsoft Sentinel, also see, for example, all tables, but don't have access to read any data from any tables. So in this case, I'm going back to my access control EM. You have seen it before. I have a custom role which cover exactly this, Sentinel. I have here my Sentinel baseline permission. Here you can see in a JSON format what's the permission, what's the baseline permission. You can see security insights read, data connector required, check requirement, action permission, but the customer don't have any permission to read data from the log analytics workspace. He can go to the workspace, he can read all solutions. It's really required. So if the customer has the permission to see the log analytics workspace, he don't have the permission to see the Microsoft Sentinel solution. It's required to assign exactly this permission to read all solution which is assigned to the log analytics workspace to view or to see the Microsoft Sentinel service itself. The customer also have the permission to read all resource groups where he is assigned to. And that's all. He don't need more permission, so you can find exactly this baseline permission in also my GitHub repository. So what we do now is we assign this permission with a Microsoft Entra ID group to the resource group itself. And then the customer assign the customer to the Microsoft Entra ID, and then the customer have the baseline permission. The baseline permission to see Microsoft Sentinel, this Microsoft Sentinel workspace, also to see all tables but cannot read any data. So in this case, we are going now to the table level permission. It's really easy, it's really cool implemented. So we are going to the Sentinel workspace. It's the backend from Microsoft Sentinel. We are going to the tables, and you can see all possible tables. You can also see here all custom tables. So when we search here from type custom tables or sort here by the table type. In this case, you can see here my two custom tables, DCR test CL, DCR test 2CL. And I want to give my user the baseline permission and exactly the permission only for these two tables. It's really easy. Go here on the right side, access control EM, and you're now switching down to the table level access permission. You can see here, this is my Microsoft Sentinel workspace, and this is exactly this table, and this is the access control EM for exactly this table. And we are now going to role assignments, and you can see here I have my baseline permission, which is synchronized from the resource group. And when I scroll down, you can see here I have my reader permission, and this is the reader permission for exactly this table, exactly in this resource only. It's not synchronized from the resource group, it's exactly assigned to only this table. I also assigned the permission, the same permission to the second one table, so you can see here, access control EM, role assignment, scroll down, and you can see here I have the same permission on this resource here, only on this resource for this permission group. Okay. So how it looks like from the customer view. First of all, I'm going to the admin view. So I have here my Sentinel workspace. You can see here, I can see everything, the security insights, the data, the analyst, the current status. I can also scroll down to the custom logs, open the custom logs, visit all data from the custom logs. Perfect. I also can go to another table like Office Activity Table, and you can see I have the ability to see all data from my Office activities. I also have the ability to browse all workbooks, and inside my workbooks I have defined, hello, what's happening now? I've defined a separate workbook named update role-based access control permission. It's really a simple workbook. So in this case, you can see I have the ability to see all data from a table 1. So this is the table, the test table 1. This is the test table 2. And also have the ability to browse or to see all data from my office activity table. So this is the office activity table. Okay, when we go ahead and let's have and see what happens from the customer, for the user perspective. So here we are. You can see I'm now connected with a Sentinel test user. This user have only permission to the resource group Microsoft Sentinel. So I'm sorry for this. Microsoft Sentinel, he have the ability to see all resources in Microsoft Sentinel. It's okay. But you don't have the ability to see specified data from Microsoft Sentinel. He cannot change anything. He have only the baseline permission and the table permission. So this is okay when I can see this one here. I'm now going to the Sentinel workspace. I have the permission to see all solutions, operation inside solutions. So this is the permission for exactly this step here. I'm now able to open Microsoft Sentinel. I can see the baseline data. When I go to the Log Analytics workspace, I'm able to browse the Log Analytics workspace. It's okay. I'm not able to see data from Office activity. You can see it here, last 24 hours, no results, so I have no permission. But when I go to the custom tables and I switch now back to the workbooks and open my specified workbook for this use case, the custom role-based access control, view saved workbook, you can see I have the permission for exactly these 2 tables, but I don't have the permission for the Office activity table. And this fulfill every requirement in my point of view for a least privilege permission. I can give the customer exactly the permission for the service itself, for Microsoft Sentinel, and also break it down to the table itself. So the question now is, how can we ingest the data to Microsoft Sentinel to achieve exactly this one here, to get the table level permission? So first of all, normally you have the ability to assign the permission to all tables, all default tables or built-in tables, and all custom tables. The question now is, how can we create a custom table? To create a custom table, it's really easy. So we have here the ability to create a new DCR. Please forget MMA-based tables. The old one is the legacy one. So Microsoft, the support for MMA is stopping next year, I guess October. I don't know exactly now when it's really happened. But always use DCR-based custom tables. So what you can do now is you can define here a table name. For example, custom table test 1, 2, 3, 4. And it always ends with _CL. Next one, we need a data collection rule. So you can create here a data collection rule, create a new one, give it a name, say test, CL, say, in this case I'm not authorized, assign a test collection rule. And you also need a data collection endpoint which represent a separate endpoint for exactly this table, this custom table. So in this case, I've implemented a scenario, so I want to switch back to my admin account. Here we go. Go to the resource groups, go to the Sentinel operation, and you can see here I have my data collection rule and my data collection endpoint. So when I go to the data collection rule itself, you cannot see any data source, you cannot see any resources because it's not the default, not the standard data source. So I have defined here my custom data source. If you want to see the configuration, it's really easy. Go to export template And you can see here what's available in the backend. You can see here I have my stream declarations. So in this case, I have my custom table defined with these columns, exactly these columns. So I want to hand over now a little bit later to the custom table. Then you can see what columns are available. I have here my destination. This is my log analytics workspace from the name. And I have here now 2 data flows. And this is really interesting. So normally we have an API. So for example, I've created a script in the backend, and the script is sending data to one data collection endpoint. This is one data stream. And in this case, with this data flow, I'm going ahead and say, hey, I want to extract or transform the data from my API and only want to send the data with the request type get into table 1. And I have here a second data stream, the table test2 CL. So here you can see this is the test CL. So I have 2 custom tables, test CL and test2 CL. And in the test CL, I want to ingest all data from the request type, which is different than get. So this is a really easy and really cool use case. So you have one data stream. You say, hey, data stream 1, exactly this data into data table custom table 1, and all the rest to the custom table 2. And you can achieve it with exactly these steps here. You have one data stream, you have one destination, you have 2 data flows with different transformation KQL queries. So it's really easy to implement. You can also find the source code on my GitHub repository. So what about the script? So I have now a custom script. I'm now opening my my Visual Studio Code. You can see here I have a custom script. What it's required, you need a tenant ID, I need an application ID, and I need a secret. I will cover this in a few minutes. Then I need the DCR immutable ID and the DCE UR as the URI. So where you can find this, go back. First of all, the immutable ID from the DCR. Go here, click on View JSON, and you can see here immutable ID. Exactly this ID is unique for this DCR rule, and we need this one here inside my script. So fill out this one here. Then, I'm sorry, not here, exactly here. Okay, perfect. Then the DCE URI, it's also really easy. Go back, go to the Sentinel operation. We have here the data collection endpoint. And here is the data logs ingestion. So this case, I'm using exactly this URL and assign it here. Then you need your tenant ID. So the tenant ID is unique. I hope you can find the tenant ID, and then the application ID and an application secret. Why we need an application ID and an application secret? It's really easy because you have to assign this service principal to the DCR rule. So we are creating now a service principal. Say, okay, I want to have a shared secret, copy paste the application ID, also the secret, go to the DCR rule and assign the service principal. In my case, I've created a new service principal, scroll down, and here we have a separate permission monitoring matrix publisher. And you can see here, I've assigned here my service principal. So here we are, we have here my service principal. Copy the client ID. Okay. Copy the application, the client ID and the secret, and assign, add exactly this one here to the tenant ID, application ID, and the secret. When it's done, execute the script. I have here, you're using now the barrier token, you're going to generate a barrier token, You have here a sample file, so which represent this one here is a normal log file. You have here different lines, and exactly these lines will be sent at the end to Microsoft Sentinel. So it's really easy, and I want to demonstrate this right now. So I've now added the required service principal and the application ID and secret itself. And now I want to execute the PowerShell script. So in this case, I'm execute the script and assign a parameter -log and exactly the sample log data. Execute the script. I have the right permission. You can see here, upload data was successful. I'm now uploading all data from my local file. So when it's done, we are going back to Microsoft Sentinel. So we are now going back. You can see here I'm now connected to my admin account. Go to the Sentinel workspace itself. So here you can see the table. I want to show you the schema. You can see here tenant ID, the custom columns, client IP, destination IP, message, raw data, time generated. So these are my custom columns, which is created on my during the import. And when we go to the logs, open the custom log 1. You can see here only the get request type. And when we go to the custom test log 2, you can see here everything else excluded the get request type. And this was fulfilled by the transformation rule. The transformation rule says, okay, everything with get, please test custom rule, custom table, and everything else in the test 2. Okay, so that's it. That's from my update session. So I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you liked the session. If you have any questions, feel free, write a comment or subscribe to my LinkedIn profile, subscribe to my YouTube channel, write me an email, write me a comment, write me a mail over LinkedIn X or whatever. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like it. Also have a look to my GitHub repository. You can find all solutions. You can find all templates from exactly this use case here. Yes, that's it. That's from my side. I hope you enjoy it. See you soon. Thank you.